Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What Do You Say Anime. I am your host, Peter, and on today's episode, the gang, the cast, we will be reviewing the 2018 anime Hinamatsuri. Joining me today, first, my lovely co-host with his fantastic Amelia t-shirt. We have Johnny. Johnny, how's it going?
I'm doing great, thank you. So speaking of gangs, this show has one, but I mean, is it really a gang? I mean, like they probably do more than the cops, right? Like
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. I
yeah,
every time every time you introduce me, I have no idea what to say, so I just make up random stuff, and
I get,
it
I
just
get,
works.
I can see that. All right, well, thank you for that, Johnny. Joining us, the cat. He is back. Cat, how's it going today?
I'm doing all right. So question for y'all. So I watched this show very, very early on in my anime watching journey. Um, my wife is my wife was peering at me. So cat's back, whatever. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm a little bit
We got two,
tired.
two,
So
two Johnnies
Welcome
today.
back. Yeah.
What do you want from me?
it's normally not me this is Johnny. So it's a first for everything.
Well, we're
Yeah.
glad to have you. Joining us, Taylor Swift's #1 super fan. We have Miles. Miles, how's it going?
It's doing good. I was trying to find a lyric that I could fit into Hinamatsuri. I was like thinking about delicate. There's some stuff about like bar and stuff, but I think overall the themes of Hinamatsuri don't really fit into Taylor's discography, unfortunately. You know, I think she'll probably have a song about the Yakuza on her next album, but so far we haven't got there. For now, no Taylor lyric this week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the most like logical transition from Cardigan is to Yakuza, which makes a lot of sense. So I could definitely see that happening.
I agree.
And joining us, as always, our moderator, Mr. Young Patty Mills himself. Pat, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, I missed last episode actually. And I was so bummed out to lose out on discussing Angel Beats. But you know what? Drinks had to be had in on Memorial Day weekend, and jobs had or new careers had to be started as well. So you know what? Other than those things take priority. But I am back now. I'm comfortable. I'm happy, and I'm ready to talk about a really fun anime that actually the last couple days I was able to binge through and really enjoyed myself. I gotta say more than I thought I would. It was one of those shows that slipped through the cracks for me. I know. When it first came out in 2018, when I first started to become a seasonal watcher. So yeah, let's get into it. So we were discussing Hinamatsuri, which again, like I just said, uh, aired in spring of 2018. Let's just do our usual first impressions, spoiler free. Uh, you know, where you first heard about it, what your first initial thoughts were, first couple episodes, how you felt about it, and anything else you might want to throw out there. So why don't we start with Miles?
Yeah, so I first heard about it from Pete. Pete talks it up a lot. I really don't think his description of it does the show justice, um, personally, but that's okay. So first few episodes, it was a lot funnier than I was expecting. I don't know why I wasn't expecting a comedy. I thought it would be like sort of like a, I don't know, drama slice of life sort of thing. Um, so it was not at all what I was expecting, but I did have a ton of fun with it. And I would absolutely recommend the show if you enjoy having a good time, and
Yeah.
laughing at some fun hijinks and maybe learning a thing or two along the way. You know, so um, at the very least, you'll learn how to make a bartender. So that's that's what I got.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, the show was very definitely comedy focused, at least in my eyes. It was. The story is fun and it's unique, but it's not the most logical thing at all times, especially early on. At least for me, it wasn't. But Kat, what have you got?
So I first started watching the show back in I think it was 2018. Was it either 2018 or 2019? But I was just trying to become like a seasonal watcher or a person that I was just trying to expand my like anime watching portfolio, and I was looking through Crunchyroll because I paying $7.99 a month, and I wanted to get my 7.99 a month's worth. and just like clicked the show out of nowhere and loved it the first time I watched it, and I talked it up a lot like Pete. And going back through it, I not much has changed. I mean, I saw a few things that I didn't catch in the first watch through or didn't remember from the first watch through, but for the most part, like I still love the show. It's still really fun. Um, and honestly, I just did not realize how much Hitomi was just. I didn't remember how much Hitomi had to go through. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, she definitely does go through a lot. That's fair enough. All right. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah. So for me, it's the same thing as Miles. Is I heard literally like nothing about the show except for Pete. And so he described it as imagine Yakuza with psychics. And yeah, there are Yakuza and there are psychics in the show, but they don't really have too much to do with the show. Like these guys are barely Yakuzis, but beside that, like the show's great. Same with Miles. It's much funnier than I thought it would be. And on the subject of learning, I learned that horse sashimi was a thing because of this show. So you
That
you learn stuff.
That what?
Horse sashimi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So you learn something every day.
Yeah, that's completely fair. All right. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize for people like telling people like what I thought of it. This is like one of the first shows when I got into watching seasonals. This is like right when I started watching seasonals, and it's been over 3 years I think since I've watched it. So, like looking back at it, I thought it was more like Yakuza and Psychics. I didn't realize like the other elements that go into this show. So my apologies for talking up a show that like really wasn't what I remember it was. First impressions though, it was such a like enjoyable show to watch. As a rewatch, this was such a breeze. I had so much fun rewatching it. I caught a lot of things I didn't. Characters like how I portrayed them the first time I watched it completely changed this time. So that was really fun to like go into it. I think this hits so many things that like a lot of people would like thoroughly enjoy. I highly recommend it to almost anybody. It has like some cool like mature themes to it that touch on some subjects that a lot of times anime doesn't touch at all, like homelessness, which was really cool to see. But it also has like those silly quirky things like Mob Psycho does, where it's like over the top silly psychic like battles or powers and stuff like that. So I thought it was like a really good dynamic and a really good combinations of a bunch of different genres all together, which can be really hard to do, and I thought Hinamatsuri did a really good job with it, so I highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, that reminds me. I guess I'm out of practice. I did not remember to ask for recommendations from the first three people. So, but I assume you would recommend these shows. Why don't we start back with Miles real quick?
Well, I remembered that was something we were supposed to do, and so I did say that. I said I would absolutely recommend it if you were in for a good time and you might learn something along the way.
I remember
That's
you saying that, Miles.
Okay. Well, I remember Kat and Johnny specifically not saying whether they recommended it or not, and that was what was fresh on my mind. I'm sorry, but go ahead, Kat. What about you? Do you recommend this show?
I would recommend the show if I didn't say that I'd recommended the show after saying that
You
I
said a
love the
lot of
show.
nice things. Yeah, you said a lot of nice things. I don't know. I swear to God, I sat here. We can go back and look at the tapes
Pat,
after.
I
Again,
know what you're going through. Like you just got off work, and like you gotta jump right into the next thing, and you know what? You're not running on all the cylinders, but you know what, Pat? You're trying. You're giving your hardest. Gambate, Pat. I believe in you.
Oh wow, we're going full into it. I know for a fact Johnny didn't say whether he recommended it or not. So
that's because I was actually gonna say more, but then you just moved on, so I was like, okay, whatever.
All right,
I would
fuck me, I
recommend it.
guess. Fuck this guy. All right, you know what, guys? We don't. I'll just go back. I'll go home.
No,
we appreciate. No, put your weapon back.
Yeah. Exactly. You want me to, don't you? Yeah.
Well, Kat, I need you here, dude. You're one of the two moderators. We missed you last week.
Well, what would we do without a second moderator here to moderate three other people?
Miles was the moderator for Angel Beats, and he dropped the ball so many times. It was incredible. So, like, we need both of you.
Apparently.
I'm kidding, Miles.
I was like, wait, I was like running back. I was like, Did I?
Now we're all feeling that. Now that
Like-
both moderators are in a terrible place of mind.
So what
That-
are we doing here again?
You're
Like, I
telling
believe
do you recommend it or not?
Said yes.
Okay, thank you. My turn. All right, shut the fuck up, everybody. Jesus Christ. So, like everyone else has said, I would recommend this show to most people. I thought it was a really fun comedy. I had a really good time with it. Just for those that are curious, the studio, like me going into this, I knew nothing about this studio that made it, except for the fact that they did
Origairu.
they did Origairu seasons 2 and 3, and then they also did a bunch of other random, really bad, not bad, but very just not Origairu
Kiss
stuff.
X6.
Yeah, that they did. That what's it called? Psyche K? Not Psyche K. Sorry, not
okay.
Psyche K. Pardon me. So I can't play H. I don't know why those names associated in my head, but they did. They did Takashi Kashi, so a bunch of other just random like shows that you wouldn't really associate with Origairu. At least I wouldn't. And then obviously Kazexis. So they.
But they
Miles
also
is
did a
gone.
Bikini Warrior special.
Oh, they did. Yes, of course. How could I have forgotten that show? But yeah, I don't know. Going in, I expected, again, because of Pete's impressions, and then also because of what I heard about it from the Crunchyroll Awards. I remember in 2018 hearing seeing them in every category. They had either a character or their OP, their ED, best drama, or maybe not best drama, but like best comedy, whatever. Like there was always like someone from Hinamatsuri in there, and that was like one of the shows that fell through the cracks for me, like I said earlier. So I definitely I've heard really, really good things about it going into it, and I was not disappointed. This was such an easy show for me to watch after the stressful few weeks I've had of starting a new job. So definitely didn't expect more mafia shit to be going on, but I wasn't disappointed that there wasn't. I guess it didn't really affect my enjoyment of the show. Best girl should be a really interesting conversation for this show. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I think there's one very clear answer, but you know what? I get why people might disagree. But yeah, all right. So I think that concludes our spoiler-free section, at least. Based off of our recommendations, which were scattered all throughout, apparently, whether I don't know, make your decision on whether you want to watch the show or not if you haven't already. Otherwise, you will be spoiled on certain plot points and certain things that do happen in the show. I'd say they are relevant, so in a show like, I don't know, another show we've watched in the past, maybe it isn't that relevant, but I'd say that the plot that is pretty relevant, and like knowing things ahead of time would change your enjoyment of the show. So if you haven't watched it before, please pause us and come back to us at some other point after you've watched it, because I think we all did just recommend it to you. So, but yeah, let's get started. Does anyone have their first talking point? Anything that they want to bring up
Yes.
first? Go ahead, Kat.
All right, so I just wanted to start with so during our introductions, Pete did kind of compare Hinamatsuri a little bit to Mob Psycho and saying that some of the fights were over the top. I do agree with that, but I do want to point out one of the things that I missed during the first. I didn't remember during the first watch through of the show, and remembered this time was Nita, one of the main characters. He is like during the first episode when he first meets Hina, he's just like he just acts like it's not just like nothing is happening the whole way through. Just doesn't really give a shit. And it's one of those things that if it were any other anime, it would have been the largest overplayed something or another, like in the whole show, and it would have been kind of annoying, and it wouldn't have been as special. Like the fact that Nita was just like something just came out of nowhere to the middle of my fucking living room. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna sit the fuck back and not do shit. I love that shit. And like they know how to overplay something while almost not pointing at it at all. And it's one of those things that I really applaud about the show rather than say fucking Damn, I can't remember any of the shows that I've watched
maybe
so far.
maybe other shows where the joke gets old really quickly, maybe something like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so maybe a good example of that would be his vases constantly being broken throughout the show over and over again, and him getting frustrated by those things happening. That joke maybe after the first episode, all right, we get it. Like in another show, but this show does it very well. They very delicately reference it or go back to it at different points that are not overbearing. At least I didn't find them to be so. What about everybody else?
I think I could touch on like Nita's like lack of response. It was it was the end of episode 11 where he gets the phone call that Hina's gone missing, and like the principal calls him. And he's like, "I'm sorry, I have this awful news, but Hina is lost in the mountains." And his response was, "Oh yeah?" It's just like no, it's like
Yeah.
what? Yeah, okay. Like it's just like his lack. It's like the lack of response makes his response so much better. It's like when silence is used really well. It's like the lack of sound makes it so much better. It's kind of like what I was like thinking of. It's just like how deadpan Nita is at times makes his character so much fun, and was like a great aspect for like multiple people's arcs, not just like Hina's, but like he's also like influenced like in Hitomi's arcs and a little bit in Anzu's, and like how he like changes with each like interaction between the people really made him like a really fun character to interact with in the show.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he did a I think Nita was great. Yeah, like the two leads I guess is a good launching point for our conversation with Hina, the titular Hina from Hinamatsuri, and then Nita himself. The two of them, their interactions I think on screen were some of my favorites of the show. Like the way the, the way Hina would obsess over certain things, but then like I don't know, like I think it was episode 2 or 3 where she wanted to like clean the house to try and like make Nita happy, and but like even with her putting her whole mind to it and being dedicated to trying to do the right thing, she just screws everything up, and is still very lazy. Even though she's trying very hard, she's very lazy about how she cleans the house. Like she messes up or makes a spill, and she goes, "Oh, I'll clean it up later." Or whatever, and then goes to do something else, and it's just like she's just, oh, I'll reward myself with a snack after doing almost nothing but break things. Like it's, I don't know. I thought it was a very clever, and of course him coming back and being so devastated by by the chaos that she has created. I thought that was a really fun aspect of the show. Was the two of them going back and forth, the ebbs and flows in their relationship were really fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because like remember, like the relationship starts out with him essentially being like strong armed into being her dad.
Yeah,
Because she has amazing psychic powers, and she's like, "I'm gonna live here," and he's like, "What the hell? No, you're not." And she's just like, "I'll destroy your house
I'll break your vases.
if you don't
Yeah.
let me." And he's like, "I guess you live here," um,
This
So
is my life now.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is it. He just sort of takes it on the chin, and they develop a very I don't know, nice little relationship over the course of the show, which it was nice to see that develop, where there's some sort of like familial little bond that they have going on there, which is really good because it's sort of like a I don't know, like everyone's parents are dead in anime, so it's nice to see something at least resembling a parental bond. In a show because it's a little rarer than other types of relationships. So
I think that's a really good thing that you're bringing up, and it's the thing that I missed the first time and definitely caught the second time was just how this is just like a family show. Like you have different sets of families throughout like everyone's like arcs. You have like a typical father-daughter relationship with like Hina and Nita. You have Anzu at the beginning who has no parents, but her family is this like like you kind of like us. It's just like we're kind of like a weeb family.
We're
But like
homeless.
I thought I thought you were gonna say like, oh yeah, like us.
yeah,
the
we're like homeless
guys that you
people.
hang out with.
we're
Yeah,
all,
like,
we're all homeless.
Yeah,
But it's like
we're all homeless.
you have like this community that she interacts with that becomes her family. Like
Mhm.
it's you have that like style of family. You have I don't know, Hitomi in like an abusive family because she's just constantly like saying yes to everybody about everything. And I mean that's kind of that's a joke, not really like a family, but like you have like this, it's like a really like overarching, even the Yakuza is like a family to them, like in Nita and Sabu and stuff like that. So it was a really cool underlying thing that they did in the show. They didn't really like force it on you, but like that was like a huge emphasis, is like being like, you can't do everything by yourself. Sometimes you need like a family or a group or a community. And I thought that was like really cool, like slice of life thing that you really don't see a lot in anime. Sometimes you see it with like one family or something like that. This was like 3 separate families, I'll put it that way, 3 or 4 separate families. I thought it was like a really cool underlying theme that they did in the show. So I don't know if anybody else has thoughts about that, but that was like a really fun thing about it.
I kind of when you said it's kind of like a family show, it kind of made me kind of connect the dots a little bit so that I can compare it to another show. We haven't watched the show on the podcast yet. Actually, I got an idea. Anyway, this show kind of reminds me of another slice of life that just with like, it's basically Sweetness and Lightning with telekinesis and as a comedy. So like that's how I'm comparing it, because like, you know, Sweetness and Lightning is very, very cute, and this is very, very
It has cute
funny.
elements to the show,
It does
absolutely.
have
Yeah.
cute. It's very cutesy sometimes. It's fun.
Yeah, it's just I feel like the Anzu doing the tag with Hitomi was kind of meant to be cute and then turn into funny as soon as Hitomi was just like, we're not elementary schoolers, like that type of
Also
thing.
low-key depressing, like about Anzu's
Yeah.
character, that's how she views fun, is to play tag as like a 14-year-old. I'm like, I kind of feel bad for her. Like,
Okay,
I know Miles has words about Anzu, but
I do. Let's keep it positive.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's not keep it positive. She
No,
had
no,
a
no,
whole
no.
life. She had a whole life before this. They all did. Why is she the only one that thinks tag is fun? Hina doesn't think tag is fun. Mao doesn't think tag is fun. Why is it Anzu? Why? Because she's been homeless for like a month.
So
Like-
to be fair,
To be fair, I think Mao had it worse than Anzu.
That what?
I think Mao had it worse than Anzu.
Mao had it worse than Anzu, but handled it better by remembering that she was a psychic alien and like made herself a hut in food.
You think she handled it better by talking to coconuts?
Yes.
Yes, I do, because she attempted to do anything to get herself out of the situation.
Well, to be fair, Anzu didn't use her psychic powers because like Nita said that she shouldn't use them, so that's why she didn't do any of that.
No, who cares what Nita says? Who the hell is Nita? Why does she care?
Exactly.
Well, the point is that she does care, so.
I don't know. The point being, like, Anzu is a very sad character. She goes through a very hard time, and for me, all of that is completely nullified by that. It was a complete opt-in on her end. Like, none of it was necessary. She could have just not done it. What?
Sometimes people just want to maybe not intentionally, but sometimes people just make bad decisions and then they end up homeless, you know?
I would
but that's not what happened. Like, right, I feel very bad for like the homeless guys who seem to like acknowledge that they made some bad mistakes in the past and they were like trying to make a community and something. Imagine you are one of these homeless men, right? And you take care of Anzu and you feed her and set up a shack and stuff, and then you find a family for her to live with because like Japan is changing their laws and you can't be like homeless in the park anymore and you have to like go somewhere else, okay? And then you find out that she is telekinetic and she can just
do whatever she wants.
Literally wants.
Anything she wants.
She could have earned so much money so quickly. Like, we see Hina earn a ton of money immediately. We see Mao earning money with her psychic powers in a little flashback. You know what I mean? Hitomi, who isn't psychic, we see earn a ton of money. We see everyone who puts their mind to it in any way be showered with money. And Anzu collects cans.
It's
She
like-
doesn't even use her psychic
Okay, so-
powers to collect lots of cans.
No, she doesn't.
Everyone
like,
else
They're
feels
big
so bad
steam
for her
trash.
that they buy a television for her to sell for like $20.
Okay, so I get what you're saying, but like, let's think about it this way. So, like, say two people spend an equal amount of time, like, training and like learning all the skills they need for a certain job, but the difference is one job makes $1 an hour, and the other job makes $100 an hour.
I-
That's
I-
kind of like
I'm
what
not
it is
saying
here.
that Anzu has to like.
Just be mean. Say what you.
I'll be mean.
That's- yeah, just be
Her
mean.
inability to be efficient in any way when granted with super ultra human abilities is absolutely infuriating because no one else with her powers is that stupid. Like Hina
exists.
flattens a glade and chops up a bunch of trees into logs. If Anzu like went to a junkyard and just brought all of the junk metal to her, like what they were basically doing with the aluminum cans, she could have changed
Made
all
so
of
much
those
money.
people's lives so quickly. She didn't even have to do anything illegal. She could do street performances like Hina and Mao did at some point. Like, there's just so much she could have done. And like she thinks about like the only time she thinks about using her powers to make money is to cheat at horse racing.
Almost cheated
Why,
horse racing.
Anzu? There's so many
Almost.
other things you could have done.
She chooses
and-
not to cheat though.
She does choose, but it's the only time she thinks about using her powers
That's
to make
true.
money.
Yep.
She doesn't like I get like initially like her initial thing was like I'm stuck here, I'm embarrassed that Hina beat me,
I'm
like
being
I don't want
stubborn
to.
and prideful, right?
I
Like
get
that was her
that,
bit.
But
yeah.
then like 3 weeks later, everyone finds out that she's there anyway. She's like hanging out with Hina kind of like regularly. Nita knows she's there. Like so that the facade is gone. You can, like it. Oh God, I don't know. The issue is that without the context that Anzu is an alien with psychic powers, her little story is amazing. It's so heartwarming. She has like great work ethic and values and stuff. Like if she was just a normal human, she would be an absolutely amazing character. But she's not. And so she isn't. And I don't know. I think it's the worst thing about the show. I hate Anzu
I
because
think
she's
that's part of the
so
joke, though.
stupid.
I think that's part of the
Is
joke,
it part
isn't
of the
that-
joke?
that
Because
she's
it doesn't-
stubborn.
I think so.
I think it's part of the joke that she's so stubborn about not like using her powers to gain an advantage, or at first initially it was to not reveal where she was, right, or that she was there, and then afterwards I thought it was just to prove that she can do it. She's learned that she can do what she's doing without her powers. So why use them? Why, when other people don't have them, or whatever you want to say, like, which of course I agree that's really fucking dumb. But I also think that from a character standpoint, I don't think that that's necessary. I think that was a decision that was intentionally made, like to be that way. That's where I
So to
think.
me, like she is so she like takes offense by like the wealth and opulence around her, right? Because she grew up for like 2 months or whatever in like a community where money is very sparse and stuff. That's a very good attribute to have, right? Like to understand the value of the dollar, to be empathetic of people with needs that, are wanting, and understand, that how good certain people have it and everything. My issue is that she could have helped all of those people. It was within her power, I would imagine, without much effort, to like literally take all of those people and have them stop being homeless. Like I think that would have been super manageable by her.
Probably.
Like even if she just went to Nita and was like, can I get in on some of that like land development that Hina's doing? You know what I mean? Like scrounging around for TVs on a hill that wasn't even a waste bin. What was up with that? Did they ever explain why they were looking for TVs in a place with no trash at all?
I think the joke is that like Anzu doesn't know that, and Hitomi is such a nice friend that she just like goes along with it, and then Hina's just an idiot. So like that's like the whole dynamic of them searching for a TV in like a ravine, which doesn't make any sense unless that's where like people dump stuff in Japan. I have no idea if that's like the case.
Well, it does in
They
Higurashi.
don't
I don't
throw
know.
away trash like
That's
that.
a landfill though, Pat.
That's a landfill. Oh
Yeah.
shit. Well, damn, I stand.
Japanese
corrected.
people don't usually litter, so.
No,
Yeah,
not
it's like a
at all,
scrapyard
yeah.
or something. Like if
Yeah.
they were looking where they go to get the Kenta doll in Hig, then like that would make so much sense. But
Mhm.
So I would
Yes.
also like to add something in.
you better not have
So-
anything good to say about Anzu. That's what I think.
Hey, hey, we can like
So,
Anzu as well.
I
come on.
I just wanted to circle back to the beginning of this whole discussion about Anzu was about the tag.
Yes.
Personally, and maybe this is because I was, if the high school that I went to actually had sports and or like band or anything like that, I'd probably be a jock and a band kid. I stopped playing tag when I was like 19. Mainly because I started playing tag with like football players and soccer players and shit like that, and it was just fucking dumb and fun.
Wait, so you stopped playing tag at 19? Is that what you're saying?
It's saying like he kept
Yes.
playing it. It's not
Okay,
like a thing that you
okay.
stop playing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with that.
don't
Like
know.
I'd still play
Like
Manhunt.
Capture the Flag is
Yeah, Capture
basically
the Flag,
tag, right?
exactly,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I played Capture the Flag up until I went to college for sure.
Word. All right.
Mm.
So
Now they
so
were playing tag with 2 people, but
fair enough.
So, I mean, like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, no, I know. I
We
don't know.
can't all
I
be
just
blessed with friends like you, Miles. You know.
Yeah.
my apologies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to like Anzu. I think there's like a very simple solution where you switch Anzu and Hitomi in some ways, where you have
Mhm.
like the regular person who's homeless and like doing all of this, and then you have the humor of an alien having to take on all of these weird social like human jobs and like having to like learn things and stuff. Like I think you can make that dynamic
Yeah.
work.
So I get that, but
Oh, wait.
let
Do you
me
wanna
go, please. Yeah, let me go. So like I get what you're saying with that, like, but then also you're just describing a homeless child in a show that would be completely random to have a homeless child in the show. I feel like, right? Because like the whole reason that, again, so Anzu's homeless because she has nowhere to go because she's been spawned into this world, and like the part of the joke is her psychic powers or whatever, or that she is psychic. Versus Hitomi has a place in the world because she's a classmate of Hina's, right? So like if you were to flip those characters and just have this poor random little girl that is also homeless, like I feel like that would change it, like you said, so maybe that would be more like emotionally dramatic or meaningful, but like why would she get included in the show? Like why would she exist?
Yeah, I mean, you would have to
That's
change
where
some
I would
stuff
say.
around, obviously. I mean, Johnny,
Yeah.
you had some thoughts on this. What
No,
were you gonna say?
That was what I was gonna say too, because like, I think you hating it is because it's a joke. It's like, yeah, that's the joke.
Is it a joke? They don't make it. They don't. There are a lot of jokes in this anime. Lots of them. They're very funny. The show is very funny. Anzu's little like homelessness arc and like her. That's all supposed to, and I think supposed to be very wholesome and endearing, and like it is to an extent, right? Like, you know what I mean? Because like Anzu doesn't have any inner dialogue about not wanting to use her powers to like prove something to herself. There's no establishment for this. This is all conjecture that we have to do. You know, like she has the one thought in like episode 2 or 3 or something where she's like, if I use my powers, Hina will know that I'm stuck here, and that will be embarrassing. So I'm not going to. But then Hina learns she's stuck there anyway. So, like, after that, as far as I know, we don't get any other explanation for it. I don't know. Let's talk about other things. I don't want to. I really like the show, and I don't want to bitch about Anzu.
Let's talk about
entire
like the
time.
funny stuff about it, since this was.
There's
like...
lots of funny things. You know who's hilarious? Hitomi, and everything Hitomi does.
Yeah.
Her facial expressions hilarious. Her inner dialogue hilarious. The bit with Hitomi is that she gets roped into being a bartender at like the age of 12, because she's trying to help Hina find what's his name? Nita, and she's like behind the bar for whatever reason, and a really drunk guy comes in and like has her make her a drink, or make him a drink, and she's like really good at it. And so eventually, through getting blackmailed by a Yakuza lady, or like a Yakuza adjacent business lady or something. I don't know if women are allowed into the Yakuza.
I
I'd
think
say
it's
adjacent
Yakuza
is the right
adjacent.
word.
Yeah.
Where it's like she's protected by them,
Yeah.
and she does business with them. Like that's
Okay.
kind of like the vibe I got from it, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of like they provide protection for the businesses so that nobody can try and do some weird shit to it.
so we have Hitomi like living this like second life as like a bartender, and she gets into a bunch of crazy hijinks and stuff. And I think it's really funny. What did everyone else think was funny? What did you guys think was funny? Fucking Anzu.
I loved Hitomi as well. Hina and Nita's dialogue was always fun to me. I liked I especially liked Utako or Sakura, the bartender lady, the actual lady. I loved her. I thought she was really fun. She had like a spunk to her that was very unique. Not unique, but very well done, maybe is what I should say. I don't know. What about the rest of you guys?
All right, so I think my favorite part about the show is Nita trying to convince everyone that like about the story of Hina, because obviously he can't say, oh, she literally just popped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So he has to come up with like more and more convoluted stories about why he's taking care of a little girl. So that he just gets himself deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole, and it's just hilarious to watch because it goes from him like protecting his dead friend's child to all of a sudden it's actually his daughter, and then as a result of that, like everyone just so like for example, like when he like disowned her because she fucked up his apartment, everyone was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? You just kicked out your own daughter. And then like he didn't think about that because like from his perspective, he probably forgot about this whole story because like she's not actually his daughter, and he's like, oh, I sound like a horrible person now. And like also him trying to explain to his family about the whole thing. Like that scene was hilarious.
When she tried to improvise and he was like so overcome with like wholesomeness that she like attempted to like make up a story.
He's like she's so distraught that she's barely begun speaking anymore. It's
All
just
she
about
remembers
her
is the
being
chili shrimp.
Yeah,
it's
she
just
just
about her
remembered the
just
chili
being a
shrimp. That's
complete
like,
potato brain.
God, which was like honestly a pretty on point story to make up about Hina. Like I feel like if her family was murdered, she would also just like ignore it and eat chili shrimp. Like
Yeah.
So, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kat.
So for me, I think the funniest part for me was with Mao. Actually, the whole like what's it called? Just the monk thing where they're all just doing martial arts and shit, and she's just like cheating the fuck out of it with
The giant machine thing.
Yes, just like fucking blows the fucking shit up and then just like touches it later.
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
she stops it with her mind, and then she realizes that her hand and her feet are not touching the bars. So then she slightly moves her leg and arm so it looks like she's touching it. She's like, "Oh, I should actually look like I'm stopping this with my body, shouldn't I?" That was a great
Yeah.
scene. And then she just like one punch mans it.
And then also another part with her just a little bit later. Actually, it was part of it in the beginning part too. Just like my smartphone.
Oh, dude, I want you on a smartphone. Which you only get if you watch the sub. Miles watched the dub. We actually had this conversation the other day that they say something different in the dub.
So in the dub, she like hits his hand, and he's like, "Oh no, like damn it!" And then he looks up and he goes, "Unfortunately, we all use the Find Your Friend app." And then like everyone else like runs in to like give him backup or whatever,
Yeah.
which is super
Why
funny.
they said that?
Because in the sub he just says like, I guess I didn't need to make that phone call anyway. And then but like in the dub they just completely change it, which I thought is when you do dubs like that, especially with comedies, I like when they mix stuff up like that. It's really fun.
Yeah.
My favorite comedy thing from it is when Hida wanted to like surprise Nita for like his birthday, so she like takes his picture. She tries to make a cake. She doesn't know what frosting is, so she finds something white and it's salt. So then she just makes a salt strawberry cake. She wants to like get him a treat for his birthday, so she takes out the Ikura bowl that she saves for her. But then she's so like self. She's like, well, I don't want to give him that much. Like she only gives him like 18 of the little things, and then Nita walks in. And he's like, "Am I dead? Like, is this my funeral? Like, what is going on here?" And then Hida just being all dumb. She's like, boo, and she doesn't understand what surprises are. I love that scene. It was so funny.
Ikuna is caviar, right? I assume, or is fish eggs of some kind.
Salmon roe.
Eggs. Salmon roe. Okay.
I've had them before. They're good.
It's
I assume that's what it was. Yeah.
yeah. It's I have a question. So in the dub, whenever anyone was injured, they just said "owie." Like
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they say the
It's
same thing.
okay.
Ouchie. It's like ouchie, owie.
yeah. So like
Ow.
in the scene where Hina's like beating the shit out of like the rival Yakuza family. They're all like, she's like throwing them out of like the second story window or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're
they
just
just
like,
go-
"Owie."
Yeah, they
they
just
go,
started going,
ouch.
ouch, ouchie, owie. Like, it was so random. I thought that was weird at first, and I was like, okay, so that's the tone of the show. So they did a good job with that, I think. Where it didn't, it didn't like come off as just like some random dub or sub error or whatever, but it was definitely intentional too, because you could hear like the way they were shouting in Japanese too was very like not flamboyant, but you know what I mean. Like it had a flair to it that normal grunts and moans and groans would not have in
Yeah.
subtitles. But yeah, okay, well, we've kind of already talked a little bit about best boy and best girl, but I think we might as well move on to it. Unless someone else has a very specific thing that they wanted to bring up about the plot or the general story.
I guess I don't know if we should say for like final thoughts, but like how they like kind of like formatted the show with like Mao being in like the first episode and then the last two was a little interesting. And I guess like, would you change like your opinion on this show if it had like a second season? Because I think like how like it seemed like it kind of tone shifted a little bit towards the end. I guess like what are your guys' thoughts on like the last like two episodes with like Mao being the focal point?
I guess Mouse, you can go. I guess.
Yeah, so what I thought was weird is like, so they finish up the arc where, you know, they're stuck in the mountain or whatever, and her friends learn about Hina's powers. And they roll credits at like 12 minutes into the episode and like play the ED. And then they have like a half an episode on Mao. It was, I don't know, it was kind of weird because like, you know nothing about her, and it's like setting up a hook maybe for, you know, whatever happens next. I don't know what the manga, maybe it's like, ooh, if you read the manga, like you'll get to see what happens here, you know. Like, I'm not sure if that's why they were doing it or whatnot, but like it just seemed kind of misplaced from everything else we got. But you know, you never really know if you're going to get a second season or not, right? So like I can't blame them for it. It was just weird without, to sort of just like introduce a character like 2 episodes in, or 2 with like 2 episodes left or whatever. Like I did think that was like weird. And I honestly think it would be easy enough if they did get a second season to just introduce Mao in like episode 2 of whatever the second season would
Yep,
be or whatnot.
yep.
You know, that like they didn't really have to do that. It I mean, it didn't really hinder my enjoyment. I don't think like it's not something like Land of the Lustrous or something where I felt like come the fuck on, give me something.
Yeah,
Like it's
like
'cause it's
betrayed by the lack of stuff.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like it was just sort of like
Yeah, sorry, Cat.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
no,
but it was
Land of
just
the
like
Lustrous, I don't mind
We
talking
like
about
the
it.
show.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's our point, though. We're still shitting on it, though, for the thing. Like,
well, yeah, but like I guess because like this was like sort of like a series of vignettes or whatever with like some progression between them, and then like this like kind of random thing that just like didn't seem to fit with everything else. And like maybe if we had 2 or 3 seasons, it would all make sense in like context of each other. Um, but like with the limited scope, it didn't make a ton of sense. But I don't think I cared. Like it was weird, but like I wasn't like "Ooh, gotta subtract a point here." You know what I mean? It was just sort of
Right.
like, yeah, this is a thing that happens with anime.
Personally, for me, with Mao coming in at the 11th episode and the 12th episode, I honestly, I really so going through the characters, I'm gonna circle back because I'm that type of guy. For the characters Hina, Anzu, and Hitomi. So Hina, Anzu, and Hitomi, I liked all three of them, but like I feel like I liked Mao a little bit more. I'm not saying who my best girl is, but I liked Mao a little bit more for the 2 episodes that I've seen of her, mainly because she seems to be like a little bit more like Hitomi, uh, with a little less brains, put it that way. And I feel like that's kind of fun. Uh, so for Mao's character, I think that I really liked it, but I'm honestly on the same like wavelength as Miles, where it's just like I wish I had a little bit more, and I wish there was a little bit more interaction between Hina, Anzu, and Mao because the whole like two fucking uh like ashes carrying things where she used them as like weapons as Hina and Anzu, which is fucking
The
weird.
wood blocks, yeah.
Yeah. Um and it was just like I liked Mao being the shit out of a bunch of monks with with Hina and Anzu, but like just having her at the last 2 episodes was kind of weird. But yeah, I think I'm gonna like catch up. I think I'm gonna read some of the manga and see how the show progresses, and depending on whether or not like the show gets better or the show gets worse, I'll get back to you guys. By the way, if you guys want to watch that, follow us on the Discord.
Nice. Sick plug, Cat. Thank you. No, but I just want to say, like, I think that's, like, it's not that she's, like, a bad character or anything like that. And, like, I had fun watching her. It just, like, was so out of place with, you get introduced to this 3-year time skip with none of the main cast other than, none of the main cast is in this time skip. So it's, like, the mystery of, like, where is this going? And it's kind of, it definitely leads to, like, hey, buy the manga ending. I mean, I did buy the manga, so they got me. But it was just like, but most of the time, like, it's stuff like that that I don't really like about anime, where it's like go buy the manga type of thing. And but like, yeah, just the placement was really weird. John, do you have anything you want to say?
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say about like how I think like if you're gonna introduce a character like that, either like you wait for season 2 or you just don't do it. Like so, like for example, like in another comedy show that we love, like in Konosuba, imagine if they introduced like Union during the literally like episode 12 out of nowhere, and then like you imagine like you watch that show like as soon as it came out and you have to wait 2 years to see more. Like you would think that would be so out of place, right? So I feel like if you're gonna introduce a new character, you gotta like give them more time than just like here's like half an episode of them for some reason. And at the end, it just feels very out of place.
I think
Yeah,
that's a good comparison.
yeah.
And you guys, if anyone has listened to us talk before, you know how I feel about read the manga slash, you know, really poorly done endings, and that is I hate them. So I
Yep.
didn't really like this one. Wasn't as egregious nearly because I don't know. I was it not as egregious because I wasn't as invested or as concerned about the ending. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like I was in it. I was in this show for the fun, not for the drama or whatever. Like I might have been with Land of the Lustrous or Akudama Drive or whatever else, right? Like other shows that have frustrated me with their endings. At least that come to mind recently. But like versus like with this one, it's like it is kind. It's I wasn't really like dying to know what happened at the end. I kind of just was enjoying the ride, so it didn't bother me nearly as much. But I do agree though that Mao's introduction felt very random
Yep.
and out of place and unresolved, really, in my opinion. At least not completely resolved. So yeah. Alrighty, I think we can move on to best boy and best girl. So we will each pick our best, and we won't do worst because I think in general
Yeah, this is
we've
a
already
fun
gotten
show.
our.
Yeah.
Except for
It's a
Miles.
fun show. We already have our worst, our discussion about what might make a girl bad or not. But yeah. So Miles, why don't you kick us off? Who is your best girl if it isn't Anzu? Because it's clearly not her.
It's not Anzu. It's Hitomi. Hitomi's amazing. I think she's so funny. God, I just think she's the funniest character. I relate like wicked hard. I have a hard time saying no to like tasks and stuff. Um, and just like the situation she finds herself in, having her as like a straight man with all of these absolutely insane characters. Um, I think is just funny. We hear like a very large amount of her inner dialogue where we don't get that for as many other people. Um, which I thought was great. I'm gonna give a shout out to Nita's sister. Is like someone who I was a big fan of, but didn't really have enough screen time to like make it on. I like the idea of her just running around beating people up on the street, practicing like illegal karate on them or whatever it was. For best boy, I am going to do what were their names?
Are you doing the same ones that I'm doing?
Yeah. Do you have their
It's
names?
Kengo and Takashi.
Are they the
Okay.
two guys at the
the
bar?
the two boys. They're like the Hitomi's classmates, and they do like the detective thing and stuff, and they're like looking out for her with their other friend, um, Kay, I think her name is, and they're really good friends. They were just like, I don't know, they were like really good depictions of kids, which is sort of fun. Like they felt like seventh graders, which was like neat because like I don't know,
Yeah,
anime
let's go
does
play
like
detective or something.
yeah,
Like
let's have fun. And they were like, I don't know, they like didn't know what to do once they figured out what was going on and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. They were really good friends. I like the whole little group dynamic. It was fun. That's what I got.
That's fair. All right, Kat. What about you?
For me, best girl is going to Hina. Uh, Mainly because so I didn't get enough of Mao to actually give her best girl. So that's number one. Number two, Anzu. I like Anzu, but I do have some small gripes with her. Just because like there's just like some of the things that Miles said, I was going to actually give best girl to Anzu just to spite Miles, but he made some good points.
They
So,
try to make good points.
It
um,
generally does. Generally.
and just like Hitomi, I like Hitomi, but I just couldn't give best girl to Hitomi. I just don't know why. It just didn't feel right. So I gave it to Hina because Hina is just kind of like I like deadpan characters that are deadpan in addition to the show, like not just deadpan because the show is deadpan. Like those types of characters annoy me, but like Hina, even though she's a main character, she just added to her character to the show so much better from her being there. But best boy, on the other hand, I am actually going to give it to what was his name? It was one of the guys at the bar, Sabu, the the random dude that's just like fucking.
He's the delivery boy or whatever. He does all the dirty or like all the minimal tasks for the Yakuzas.
Yeah, like he just kind of like eggs on Nita and just like is basically Nita's hype man, and I just really like that. It's kind of funny for me. I didn't want to give it to Nita because Nita's a piece of shit sometimes, and I wasn't
So
gonna
is
give
that
it.
guy.
I mean,
Yeah, he like
but like
screws over Nita in the
He almost has
documentary.
he almost has him murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
His
I
hype
think
man
Nita-
is the exact opposite of
Nita's
what
a
he is.
pretty reasonable person here.
He's his number one hater, if anything.
oh shit,
Did you forget about
When he's-
he was like too embarrassed to own up to like texting the wrong thing, like when Nita was like, "No, I won't be the president" or whatever, and then they like
Oh yeah.
buried him in
That was part
sand
of
and
the
stuff
gang
because
war.
the guy couldn't like
Yeah,
own
from a
up to his
concrete
mistake.
barrel.
Yeah,
Oh, I did forget about that actually. Okay, so I'm
He's actually
taking
worst
that
boy
away
now.
from Sabu. Yeah, that's worst boy. Let's see, which one was it? Fuck it. I'm gonna give it to the fucking president. The one that
I
got
liked
shot.
him a lot. He was fun.
Old guy or the fat guy?
Baba.
The old guy.
Oh, old guy. Okay, never mind.
Grandpa?
Yeah, the grandpa, the president that got
The
shot.
head guy, the head yakuza. Yep.
Yeah.
The grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Johnny, what about you, man?
So my favorite girl is also gonna be Hitomi, just because like with Anzu, even though like I don't hate her as much as Miles, I did find some things about her annoying. Like to me, she's like it's the same as what Nita said. She's too nice. Just like something doesn't feel right when someone's too nice.
because
And
she's
with
too dumb. She has to be nice.
well,
to
also
make up
that,
for
but
it.
yeah. And also Hina sometimes like I also like the deadpan like kudere characters kind of, but like this is like there's a line that you cross where you go from like being deadpan to just kind of being a dick, and that's kind of what Hina was. So I'm gonna give it to Hitomi because like again like and Miles already said a lot of the points I said. So, like I love her reaction faces. I love her personality where she just goes through with like all this stuff, even though she on the inside absolutely hates everyone around her for making her do this, but she just does it anyways. And yeah, but and for a best boy, I'm surprised no one else has done. I'm gonna give it to Nita. A lot of the same reasons I gave for Hitomi. Like this guy's reactions are hilarious. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's just like his reaction, like as I said, like to just Hina just yeeting herself into his apartment. He's just like, well, this is my life now. Just
I'm gonna
accepts it.
pretend this didn't happen, and then he comes back next day. Oh,
Yeah.
of course, this is what's here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good. I think my favorite Nita moment was when when Hina's like tasting God, what Izuna, whatever the food is called again.
Ikura.
Ikura. God damn it, so many letters.
Salmon roe.
Yeah, salmon roe,
Fish eggy
whatever.
things.
I watched
Fish
the dub.
eggs. Yep. Fish eggs.
Fish
Yeah, there
eggs.
you go. That explains it. No, yeah. So his reaction to, so she eats it for the first time, and she goes, "Oh, I've become a woman," or whatever, and he's like, "No, you haven't." Like just deadpan. It's just like, no.
It's like-
Oh my
no.
god.
Forgot
Yeah.
about
It's like
that.
the same thing as it's like the same kind of mood as Kazuma going, "Yes, I'm Kazuma." He's just like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, exactly. It's very deadpan. It's just, but that was so funny to me because she was just like, "Oh, I have matured into a beautiful woman," or yeah, like the whole like, oh, I had my cherry popped. Essentially, is like what the joke is, and he's like, "No, you haven't." Like
No.
she doesn't understand the gravity of that term.
But that's
or
because
the way
she says like
described it.
yum, and he's like, "Don't you have like something like more to say about that?" And then she says like, "I finally blossomed into womanhood" or something like that,
exactly.
and he's like, No.
No, that was such a great.
We're gonna pump
First
the brakes
episode.
on that.
One thing I want to say is that like throughout the show, Hina kind of copies like the same mannerisms he does. You see, like Nita, like a lot of times asks Hina's like, "Why are you copying me?" He's like, "Isn't that my line?" I don't know if that's intentional, but I thought that was also a really great part of the show.
I bet it is. I think that their interactions are just so great. They're wonderful.
Absolutely. All right, Pete, what have you got?
I'll do best boy first. Same with Miles. I did the two classmates. I really enjoyed their dynamic, having a lot of fun together at the same time. Just like being like really good like friends to like everybody while also being like kids was like a really fun element. They weren't like douches or whatever. They were like really fun. I really liked like this when they're trying to like feed Hina snow and they're like acting as like sushi like chefs and stuff like that. That was super funny. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And for my best girl, so this is my second time watching it. The first time watching it, Anzu is my best girl. I was super salty that she didn't win the Crunchyroll best girl, and she lost to the freaking My Hero girl, which was just ridiculous. Say what you want about Anzu, she's better than the My Hero girl. Second time watching it through, I liked Hitomi way more than what I previously remembered, but I still think I'm going to give it to Anzu. And it was more of like the you shush. It was more of like the scenes she like set up that were like super heartwarming. There was like a scene where she just gets like adopted for the restaurant, and there's like a really heartwarming scene where it's just like there's a piece of you within, or there's a piece of them within you that you still have like all those memories, like you didn't lose them, and then they also have that memory of you inside of them. And then she like starts break down and crying, and because she's like remembering like it's okay to like move on from like where she was as like a homeless person, because that was her family and now she has like this new family. It's like it's okay because you still like have those memories with each other. And I thought that was like a really good moment, and like it really showed like a great side of Anzu when she like started breaking down and she felt so bad, but like she knew like this was the right move and they knew it was like the right move to do and stuff like that. So I was a really big fan of like that specific moment. Also, I thought like the homeless arc was like really well done, because other than like Tokyo Godfathers, I don't really know like when homelessness is addressed in anime like kind of seriously. There are some like joke things in anime that they do, but like this, I thought they did like a really good like just like how they addressed homelessness in this was like really interesting. So I'm gonna give it to Anzu for my best girl.
Fair enough. All right. Speaking to stick with the homeless aspect, my best boy was Yasan, which is the guy who basically taught Anzu how to become a homeless girl, like and helped
Horrible out
welcome
of
her into a
context.
group. The what?
That was horrible out of context. Teach her how to become a homeless girl.
Hey man, you got to learn the skills. You got to know the streets and
Like you're implying like you're teaching them to become homeless.
well,
It
how to
sounds like a
how
quip
to
that
be
goes on Twitter.
homeless. It is. It. You know what? I'm gonna keep talking. It's a he's a good guy. He helped her out, and that's the way I looked at it. I thought he was a very kind and gentle character, and he helped take. He was a leader of that community as well. I really liked him a lot. And then my best girl is gonna be Utako Sakura, the bartender lady, because she was very funny. And she's a legal Hitomi. So I mean, like, there's there's no negatives. There's no negatives to that. So there we go.
What about her like blackmailing children? What about your
I think
thoughts on
that's
that?
hilarious. I'm okay with
I'm
that.
fine with that. Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta. I don't know. I think she. You know what? Would Hitomi regret what she's
She
done?
blackmails her twice and then forces her to sign an apartment lease. Like, just like, what a great role model.
When she's like, stop,
Yes,
stop.
she is the best
stop,
girl in the
like,
show.
What does
I look
she
up to
say?
her.
She says like, stop, like
Anything to
not
get-
letting
do
other
anything to
people
make-
decide
No.
things for you. Is she's forcing Hitomi's hand down, like to make her sign the lease.
I think she's great. She's a driven woman.
Pat,
There's nothing wrong
Pat,
with that.
I
you
see.
sound
My
like
my
a real
thoughts on
estate
her are
mogul
summed
right
up by
now.
Nita when she's like getting like flanderized, basically. As she goes like more and more off the deep end, and Nita like just looks at her and says, I used to be in love with this woman.
He still is.
Yeah, he's like,
He
why did I
still
love
is.
her
He's
again? Like, she's awful.
I've loved her the whole show. I was like,
Hope
yep,
you never
that's
have
the
kids.
one.
Oh no, she's great. I like her too.
She's the one. She's the one from this show for me. So I'm gonna stick with that take. Johnny, we'll see. We'll see in response to what you just said. We're not gonna address it though. So yeah, let's move on. Yeah, I think we're ready to do closing thoughts. If everyone else is ready to go, so Miles, why don't you lead the way? You with your Anzu hate, which by the way, Anzu was great. I did enjoy Anzu a lot.
Anzu is. There are definitely ways Anzu is great. Anzu is great out of context.
I think that's fair.
So yeah, this is a super fun show. It's really funny and pleasant, and all the characters are great, and it's just like a very wholesome experience. I feel like, watch it. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Yeah, that's fair. I think
Massively
that's
crafted,
very
8 out of
yeah.
I said
It's
it was
honestly-
funny.
Masterpiece.
I think I can nail where the 2 points were knocked off. Anzu and Mao.
I don't. Well, okay. There was a point knocked off for Anzu, 100%. And not Anzu, just how they used Anzu, because Anzu's wonderful and she's got a really good work ethic and stuff, but they just made her so stupid, so stupid.
Yeah, they did. They did. But that's part of the bit for me. at least.
Life just creates stupid people sometimes. It's just what it is.
I've never met anyone that dumb, ever.
Um,
It would be
debatable.
like
You're
if
giving
someone
some
was
Have you
just
seen
people a
like,
our
lot of
Discord?
credit.
Like, come on.
if
man.
Yeah,
someone,
really.
Yeah.
it would be
Like,
like
giving
someone.
me way too much
It's the
credit.
equivalent of someone like staring at a flight of steps and being like, "I don't understand how to get up," and they're like a able-bodied human being with legs,
And they
and
start
you're like,
rolling up them.
yeah, you're just like, use
That's my
your
goal.
legs and walk up the stairs. It's just
Well, is your dog in the Discord, Johnny?
No, but I can try to get him in.
Damn. Well, maybe next time.
make
All
him an
right.
account.
Yeah, Kat, go ahead, buddy. What have you got for your final score as well?
So for my final thoughts, this show is great to watch. It's also great to watch a second time too, because like you miss some of the things during the first watch, and you get to see a few more things next watch. It's not like certain shows where you watch it once and then the second time you watch it, you just feel like you're dying, or it might.
Or you're
It's not
bored.
like exactly, and it's not like Angel Beats, which we watched last time, and it was just yeah. Um, and you realize that your heart is being ripped out in front of you. Or I'm not going to mention the show I was about to mention. Never mind. So anyway, I really, really liked this show. I really, really liked watching the show a second time. And honestly, you really should go and watch it if you haven't watched it already. And even if you have watched it, watch it again. I gave the show a 9. It's great. It's really, really fun. I had to take some off because of the. I had to take a point off because of the ending, because Land of the Lustrous had to do the same thing. So.
Yeah, that's fair. What,
Actually, I'm gonna
giving it a
I'm gonna
9?
give this show an 8.
Oh, you're
an
going
8.
to down to an 8. Gotcha.
Yes, because I
All
gave
right.
Land of the Lustrous an 8.
And you think they're about even. All right, that's fair. That makes
Yeah.
sense to me. All right, Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, so show's great, funny as hell. I don't know what else to say. 8 out of 10.
All right. Tough math for me
I'm
so far.
just be straight with this one.
Pete, no. I'm saying my math is going to be very difficult on this one. Pete, what have you got?
Yeah, I absolutely love this show. It's one of 2 anime I think so far where it's gave me like a go buy the manga ending, and I've went and bought the manga. It's that and Land of the Lustrous. Funny that we brought that up. The second time through, I really enjoyed seeing like the family aspects of the show that I missed the first time. I think that was like a really fun underlying element to the show. I am a big fan of that, especially in like the slice of life genres where we get to see, not dead parents interacting with kids. That's fun. I would like to see that more. Especially as I'm getting older, I find that I'm gravitating more towards that type of stuff. But I did also like the mix of like sometimes having like the action that we saw in like I don't know, like episode 2 where Hina just like destroys another Yakuza's office, and then Nita gets all the credit. Props to like the random suicide missions that they have in this show. That there's two that Nita gets one, and then Anzu gets one, and it both turns out like eventually it comes out like okay, they didn't actually die. So I would say the suicide mission was a success, regardless of the outcome, as long as they're not dead. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading the manga now that I got, I think, 12 of the volumes, except they're printing like every volume like every year or so. In 7 years, I'll have all of the manga completed and in my collection. So that being said, great show. Love the dynamics of mixing the genres. Very similar to Mob Psycho, except I think just a little not as good as Mob Psycho, but still like really good Mob Psycho style show. Loved like the serious and comedy elements that they mix into it. So I'm giving it a 9. I really enjoyed it, and I think everybody should watch it.
A 9. All right, so you are. My math will be hard. Good to know. All right, so Pete gave that show this a 9. I'm gonna be like most of the rest of the crew. I'm giving the show an 8 out of 10 overall. I had a lot of fun watching it, but I didn't find it to be profound or life changing or it didn't make me think extremely hard either. Like, which generally speaking, I like my higher rated shows to have done that in some way. Like, this felt like very just simple, basic, good humor. Like, it wasn't super profound. There were deep moments at times, but it wasn't like a truly big brain moment like Rick and Morty or something, right? But
Yeah, like you're not gonna get a tattoo to
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
no, of course
Only
not.
for the ladies.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
But it's also not just terrible bad humor either. Like, it's really funny. It is clever at times, and it's the first show that's had psychics in it too that I didn't hate. Like, I
Yeah,
didn't
what
love
the
it.
hell is this?
Yeah,
We're
I
doing a
know, it's
little like
weird.
role reversal right here.
I know you were hating on the psychics. I think psychic power is dumb. Anyone who's listened to us talk about it before knows I hate it. But since it was used in a comedic way and was hardly used, to be honest with you, like outside of the comedic way, at least in general, especially early on in the show when it was just there. Like, it didn't bother me because it wasn't the focus. It wasn't just me sitting there going, why the fuck can't you do this because you're psychic? You know, like, why
But this
why
is
are
like
you
the
suddenly
only
nerfed?
show we've watched where that's an actual plot hole.
No, it's not. It's not the only. You cannot say with a straight face that this is the only show where psychic powers are just not broken
That we've
within the
watched for
universe.
Anime Club, I can.
I don't think
It's
so.
the only
because
show we've watched in Anime Club where the psychic
Shinsekai
powers.
Yori.
I know, we've been through this. You brought up like 3
Wait.
things. Listen back to the tape. Everything
I
you get
had-
brought up is explained.
Yes.
It's
I
amazing.
still think no, but my point is that psychic powers are still objectively
If you
broken,
look at the numbers,
and they're still I don't know. I just think that they just will
Wait,
never.
Explain them.
So they explain them. That doesn't mean that they're not still broken. They're not
And they
still like
utilize them in
overpowered.
the
Literally
society.
acknowledged that they were broken, so they fixed their whole society around balancing it.
But they didn't balance it in whatever.
This is not the
just-
Shinsekai Yori
discussion.
episode. Go listen to
Hi-Res is
Shinsekai
responsible
Yori.
I
for
don't-
balancing.
I still
Great
disagree.
show. Go listen to our episode.
Mediocre show.
Much better
anyways.
than this show. Just if you're looking for a good show that uses psychic powers intelligently and doesn't use them poorly like this show, watch Shinsekai Yori.
I disagree and if you're the exact opposite of opinion, then you'll like this one. So there we go. I don't know. Yeah, that was my final thoughts. I guess it was my final thoughts. It was everyone else's too, but yeah, 8 out of 10. I don't know. I don't see the show ever really changing in my eyes. Like, I if it had a second season, I don't really see it going up very high or going down either, though. So I think 8 out of 10 is a very fair score. We total that up to between the 5 of us, it averages out to an 8.2, which is I'm pretty sure is the exact score it has on Mal.
8.19 on Mal.
8.19 on Mal. There you go. So
Wow. Oh, that's great.
wow, that's we're usually close, but not that close, especially with only 5 of us. That's pretty good. Well, I guess good or bad is irrelevant, but it's very
Higher
interesting to see us
than
that close.
The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which is the most 8 out of 8. 8 out of
Yeah.
10 thing of all time. Like, this is definitely like more. This is like a better 8 out of 10 than Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Which is also an 8.0, or yeah, it's an 8.0 because we had 4 of us rate it and we all gave it 8s, I think, or
Three of
something like
us.
that. Three. It was only three of us. Really? No,
you
yeah,
and Saint, baby.
that's right. That's right. Oh well, no. Miles' score factored in too, and he gave it an 8
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
because he was away.
Alright.
But yeah. So that's. By the way, what was our score for Angel Beats? I never wrote it down. I never
Five
got.
something or something.
5 something?
Well,
5.6
yeah.
or something?
Yeah, around five.
It was
Really?
kinda
Oh
low.
boy, god damn,
It was
guys,
real
you guys
low.
really laid into it. I listened to like the first like 10 minutes, and I was just like, oh god, I really don't want to listen to this. I'll be honest, like I just sat there and I was just like, fuck this. I don't want to hear them talk about Angel Beats. So I
I gave
just turned
it
it
like I think I gave it a 7, and I was like the highest score. It was like
me
it
and,
was
no, me
not
and Fire
great.
gave it the highest.
Oh yeah,
This
you
was
guys
a
give it like 9s or something. Right?
5.8.
No, I think we
Which
both
is
gave
a
it-
travesty, because that show was not that good at any day, shape, weight, or form.
And you know what? If you
Well,
want,
Um,
you
I
want
don't
hold
have
on.
explanation, so you know, it's
If
just.
you want to hear our explanations, listen to the episode. But this isn't the
There you
Angel Beats
go.
episode.
Wow.
What are
Sick.
the winners, Miles? Let's get this
Well, oh well, Johnny. Okay, fine, whatever.
I
Johnny
guess
can just
remember
moderate.
Johnny's the moderator for tonight.
Someone does need to put us back on track. It's been one hell of a night. So thank you, Johnny. I do appreciate
no
that.
problem.
So we had quite the vote this week.
Oh God.
There's an expression
I already know what's gonna happen.
that we need. It's called, every classic needs a sequel. We need
You
follow up
no.
to every great episode.
You're
we've
talking
had.
out of your ass.
And unfortunately, we're not getting that because Rosario
yeah,
Vampire
I
Season
told
2
you.
Thank
came in
God.
second this week.
Oh.
Oh
Came in
my
third,
God.
Out of curiosity.
So Konosuba and Rosario Vampire Season 2 tied for second. The Devil is a Part-Timer came in third this week.
Okay.
And we will be watching. Pete, are you ready?
Are we watching Drifters?
We're watching Drifters.
Let's go! Let's
So-
go!
2 weeks in
Okay.
a row, I think Pete wins, right?
Pete gets the double W.
Let's go!
Konosuba, Rosario Vampire Season 2, and The Devil is a Part-Timer each gain another legacy point.
Legacy point. Nice.
Yes.
So
Damn,
we
now
are...
do I want to pick a show that I think I'll win and go for the three-peat? Or should I pick
Go
a show
go
that...
for a three-peat. Go for a hat trick, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could pick one of my shows that's got
Yeah.
like 6 legacy
Oh,
points.
where they go, here they come. Yeah.
Or yeah.
What did I nominate last? Oh, I nominated Non-Biori.
Thank God we're not watching that. I'm sorry,
Great
Cat.
show.
Holy cow.
Great
Wow.
show.
Anyways, speaking of which, now we can nominate shows for next week. So Miles is ready to go with his little spreadsheet and tracker. Miles, what are you nominating for next week?
I am going to nominate a show. I'm going to really change it up. Called Flying Witch.
Okay.
Flying Witch is a slice of life / like I don't know, like healing show is I guess what they're called. It's like very slice of life. It's similar to like Yuru Camp, or I think Mushishi is something else that's in the genre. But it's like I don't know. It's very outside of my comfort zone, but
You got my
I
vote.
think it would be an interesting thing to talk about because it's just a very different show than anything we've watched. So
Okay. Kat, what about you? What have you got?
So I was thinking about a while ago, like before, like during the episode, I was thinking about nominating Sweetness and Lightning, but I decided that instead of doing that, I'm going to reach back very, very, very far back into like I think it was like the third or fourth episode that we did of Watch Club. I nominated the show, and you guys were like, "Holy shit, that show seems like it's ass." And I just want to be like, "Hey, you see this trash? I'm throwing it at you again." Which personally, I don't think it's really that bad. I think just a lot of people didn't get past the first 3 episodes because they didn't know what the fuck was going on, which is kind of what the show was trying to do.
what's the show?
Get to the point!
Okay. Anyway, the show that I'm going to nominate is called Pet.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I heard that show is hot dog flavored water.
Pet has a 6.46 on Mal.
Did you say my name? No, I'm kidding. No.
We're gonna be watching Pat.
Oh God, I hope not.
Just
I'm not that interesting.
Just
I promise.
6 hours of him in his room.
6. Try fucking 19 to 20 hours of me just sitting at my computer every day. God damn it, that's just my life now. But
Jesus
anyways,
Christ, I didn't know you had that much stamina. I didn't
It's-
need to either.
Pat goes all night, baby.
I do. I am always on call.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Not
20
really.
hours.
That's about how long I spend at my computer every day. No, 18 maybe. I'll give myself 6 hours of sleep. Does that include it being on my phone in bed though? So that's the
This
question,
goes
like,
out to the public, Pat. Lie. Say
I-
it's like 8.
There are literally people watching us on Twitch right now.
They know they know I
Parfully
work.
is interacting in chat right now.
Well, that's okay. They know they just know I'm a busy man. I've got my career and I've got no life. So there we go.
You just made 2 completely contradictory statements.
I don't think so.
No,
No,
I don't think
you can have
so.
a career and no life.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
This is like a bottom third bracket episode for us.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty
Yeah.
awful.
Johnny, what are you nominating?
So which show has gotten into the top 3? I think 6 weeks in a row now.
well, 5 weeks in a
now
row
and then, here and
is
there.
a part timer. Devil as a part timer has eclipsed now and then, here and there for the amount of legacy points that it has.
I'm gonna bump that up again because I'm just gonna like cape myself if this doesn't win, if it keeps
like
getting
it.
second.
It eventually, through how this works, will win. So
Literally nobody votes for it.
I vote for it every time.
as do I.
I voted for it twice.
Yeah. It got second place. Like, you almost won.
It's every single time, but like, okay,
It's
that's my show. I'm not stopping until that wins.
Oh, and I will never. vote
it's
for it.
better. It's better than what I'm going to have to do with Pet, because nobody's going to vote for it.
Nope.
Nope.
At least
Oh,
you
shit,
know. Kat.
and no
At
one-
least you know ahead of time. It's okay.
You
No,
know
when
what?
try
You
to
know
sell
what?
it to us-
Now I wanna fucking change it now.
No, well, you can. No, too late. Next week, buddy. You can try and sell it to us. I will listen. I will listen legitimately to you try to sell it to me offline, off this podcast. So for
Okay.
now, Pete, what have you got for your nomination?
This is a show that I, for some reason, stopped watching, even though I really enjoyed it. And the second season is currently airing. And a lot of people think it's like anime of the year, like nominee worthy. So I'm gonna, I've recommended it before. It might have a legacy point. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm gonna recommend Megalobox.
Ooh,
Megalobox. Okay.
Megalo. You know what? Because I can only vote for 3 shows and I'm not voting for Megalobox, Pet's gonna get a point. Cat.
Wow. That's
Yes.
very true. What's with the hatred for Megalobox? Not a fan?
Right.
Oh,
It
you're
looks
one of the
so
normies who's watched everything on Netflix, so maybe that's why. What's the big problem? Is it
What? It looks
sports anime?
stupid. They're robots boxing. How dumb is that?
Well, they're not robots. They're humans.
Whatever. He has robot arms or something.
They use like kits they put over like their shoulders so they can hit each other harder.
Like Rock'em Sock'em.
Yeah, they're like
except-
Rock'em Sock'em robots, except
Yeah.
humans. They're Rock'em Sock'em humans.
yeah, Miles looks really sold.
Yeah,
on the
Miles
show.
looks real fun.
For all audio listeners who have somehow made it this far. All right. I guess it's my turn to just re-up something that is just never gonna win. I guess I've accepted the fact that, you know what, no matter how many times I've sold people on the show and gotten their votes, they never all vote together. But now and then, here and there, whatever the fuck, it'll eventually win.
Yep.
Not likely, but yeah. And I'm glad to be back to put it on the list again, for it to lose again and leave me with my one victory of Tadakun Never Falls in Love. Great show.
Mm.
I think
Never.
Is that your
It's better
only
than my
victory?
win. It's better than
That
my
is
win.
literally my only win. It is.
Oh, wow.
Pete has now surpassed me as well for most victories or least victories, I guess. Or
think I'm
I
at,
have
like,
surpassed
4
Pete.
now.
No, you're. Oh, I thought this was your second one.
Second in a row.
He frequently lies about how many victories he has.
That's
I just don't
okay,
remember.
maybe you're right.
I'm
He
like
just doesn't
odds.
remember.
Didn't he win Handshakers?
Yeah, but that was like a joke, and that doesn't really count as a dub.
Well, you have more than I do. I
Yeah?
remember that.
Not used. Yeah, well, you have more than I do, Kat. You had Land of the Lustrous and fucking
Non-Baka.
non-Baka.
Yep.
So yeah, those are unforgettable for me too. So I don't know. We're
Smiley
still
has the same amount of victories as Pat does, and Smiley hasn't been on an
Wow.
episode
Throw
since
that name
episode
back.
3.
Yeah,
that was Grimgar, wasn't it?
Yeah,
How many
Yeah.
shows, and how many times has Pat missed an episode? I think it's one time. Is it?
twice. You've missed 2 episodes.
I've missed 2 episodes now. Oh, have I missed 2? Oh, you're right.
You
I
have.
did miss 2. I missed I missed Angel Beats. That was the second one last week. There you go. Yeah. Wow. Crazy. And how many has Smiley missed? I think probably like 51.
Yeah, a lot.
I think
31.
where I'm tasting a little bit of seasoning from the white people in this podcast right now. So
Oh.
N-3, where N is
Yeah.
the number of.
I'm here I'm here every week. What do you want?
You're here every week, starting like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
When
Johnny's
the pub
consistent.
started.
Not
Yeah.
I think it's been more than 6 months, but anyways.
Let's wrap this up.
And no, let's keep talking. Let's.
Oh,
keep
Pat
this
already
podcast
has a vote
rolling.
cast.
We need more racial.
I already have a vote cast.
Pat
Somebody
already,
voted.
yeah, someone already voted for Pat.
Look at that.
Let's
but
go. Oh, Pat.
Yeah.
Not Pat.
All right.
Fuck. Damn
Yeah.
it.
We're gonna have to watch Pat.
oh shit.
All right. Thank you for joining our anime club discussion of Hinamatsuri. Sort of. I think we talked about other stuff more honestly, but yeah. Go ahead, Pete. Take it.
Well, I was going to say, if you made it this far, thank you. If you are listening on YouTube, if you like, comment, subscribe on our video, it helps us beat the YouTube algorithm. If you are on like Apple Podcasts, if you don't mind leaving us like a 5-star review or a 4-star review, actually just tell us how you feel about our podcast. That'd be great. Otherwise, we'll be having an episode next Monday. Still debating what I want to do. We might do like this silly list thing that I came up with, or we'll be doing like a preview for the following season. So that's in the air, but we will have an episode on Monday. Otherwise, in 2 weeks is the What Do You Say Anime 2-year anniversary of being a podcast.
Wow.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
It'll be 1 day off, but essentially 2 years of having this podcast. So if you're a first-time listener, long-time listener, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been a great journey. Met a lot of cool people, and here's to at least 2 more years. So I'm having a great time with it. But in 2 weeks, we will be doing Drifters. So we will see you then, and thanks again.